2012 AD. Another human wisdom was about to be lost forever. Beat matching, the lost technology. Hi, this is DJ Michael. Hi, this is his cousin Red Michael. Red Michael to the left and Michael to the right are reading the exact same words, with the difference that Red Michael started reading 2 seconds after Michael. Since Red Michael is reading 3% faster than Michael, however, he will catch up after approximately 1 minute. 3% difference in speed, and around a typical BPM, that is beats per minute, of a techno or house track, is about 4 beats. If we suppose Michael's speed is 120 BPM, for example, Red Michael's speed will be 124 BPM. In other words, Red Michael is reading 4 beats per minute faster than Michael. And at BPMs around these numbers, the 2 seconds difference between Michael and Red Michael at the beginning is about 4 beats. In other words, you are watching Red Michael catch up those 4 beats during the span of a minute. Now, just around the 30th bar, which is about a minute from the beginning, the two line up and the sound is in sync. But not for long if nothing is done, and Red Michael starts to leave Michael behind. Here is where beat matching comes into play. The first part of beat matching is to align the BPMs. For now, we'll do this by slowing down Red Michael by 3%. Once the two are of the same speed, we want to align their timings. This is done by drastically
slowing down the one who's ahead until the two line up.
As a result, the two are now in perfect sync and will stay this way. This is beat matching in a nutshell. Now, the long version. BPM is short for beats per minute. But what's a beat? If the expression dance to the beat makes sense to you, probably you are okay with the notion of a beat. Anyway, I'll play a house beat at 120 BPM, so try dancing to the beat. Since there is a typical thumping beat sound repeating in a house track, this should have been pretty straightforward. But not all genres are like this. For instance, here's a hip-hop beat at 80 BPM. In this case, there isn't a clear beat sound repeating like house music, but you can feel something going on which has a fixed interval. That's the beat. In addition, not all rhythms have one definite way of counting the BPM. Some genres like house have a commonly accepted range of BPMs, but in other cases, a half or double BPM count is just as valid. The last example is a bass line. Even if there's no recognizable beat sound, as long as it repeats in fixed intervals, you can count and even feel the beats. On a side note, a bar in most dance music consists of 4 beats. And more often than not, the music will make a noticeable progression at the end of every 4 or 8 bars. This is useful to remember when building your mixes. Okay, back to beat matching. Imagine a factory where equidistantly lined up beats are conveyed to a quality check personnel who rings a bell as the beats pass. On Michael's lane, the beats are lined up relatively close to each other, so he has to check 90 beats per minute. On the other hand, the beats on Red Michael's lane are relatively apart from each other, so he only has to check 60 beats per minute. In comparison, you can see that Michael is working at a much faster pace than Red Michael. Similarly, in music, we consider the track with the larger BPM to be faster. Now, this is unfair to Michael, but since the beat lining up personnel have left for the day, the distance between the beats cannot be adjusted. This is the same with music. Since the sound is already recorded, the DJ cannot change the distance between the beats. So, the Fair Factory Manager speeds up Red Michael's lane, specifically by 50%. As a result, Red Michael must check 90 beats per minute, although the distance between the beats hasn't changed. DJ equipments have a similar function called the pitch fader. In the case of a record player, it speeds up the rotation of the platter. Now, the two are working at the same pace, 90 beats per minute, but since their timings are slightly off, it's quite noisy. So, the tidy factory manager speeds down Red Michael's lane, just enough to line the two up. At last, Michael and Red Michael are checking the beats at the same pace and timing. Much similarly, a DJ would momentarily speed up or down the track, either with the pitch fader or by touching the platter to line up the beats with another track. One thing you want to keep in mind is that by changing the speed of a track, you also change the pitch. Specifically, the pitch is altered by one semitone about every 6% of changing the speed. If you're planning on harmonically mixing using the key information of tracks, this is very important, because changing the speed of a track by 3 or 4% is very common, while it changes one key closer to the next key up or down the scale, which is just enough to turn the perfect mix into the most dissonant sounding mix possible. DJ softwares come equipped with a function called key lock that allows you to change the speed of a track without changing its pitch. Roughly speaking, it chops up the beats along with the belt conveyor into segments and squashes the distance between them to line up the beats to a new interval. As a result, Red Michael will process the same number of beats as Michael without changing the speed of his conveyor. This is a very useful feature, but you should keep in mind that it alters the original waveform. In recent softwares, I think the key lock sounds pretty good up to 5% speed change. But that's me, so ultimately, the decision is up to you. At any rate, virtually all DJs beat matched up until today. However, the evolution of DJ technology introduced a horrifying feature that could render this technique useless. Next up on Pump Up the DJ is Lost Technology Episode 2, the sync button. Has the sync button replaced beat matching? No, Michael exclaims. What does he mean by that? He also constantly uses the sync button. Is he contradicting himself? A true must-see.